That is correct.
Possibly need all of them.
You might be able to. That's exactly right.
The thing to remember is the reason it's your decision, or should be your decision, is the county is rebating the money back. In other words, we are receiving that money and we're going to essentially get it back. So we should have the authority for that 70% portion to determine what the priorities are. That will be done by development agreement for each individual development. And at that time, we will analyze the increment that's potentially generated from their development and prioritize it into whatever list we come up with. And so you get a fresh look, and each development comes in, that priority can change a little bit because of where the development is or how they benefit from it.
So this starts next year. 10 years out, how many development agreements do you think we would have?
Well, you'll have a minimum of probably 20 to 30. Could be more. Because Mayflower alone could be multiple development agreements because they might be developed in phases. And so each phase can have its own development agreement. Because until you get to that point to approve a phase, you don't know exactly what the potential increment is going to be because it's not approved. You don't know the density, approved density. You don't know what the amenities are. All of those things go into that equation. So as each of those come, we will then work with the developer on a development agreement that will identify these things. But it's important for you to understand that you will be essentially in the driver's seat paying for the 70%. And so it's not that we want to include the developer, it's that this is money we're actually doing. It's not too different from where our check back. Now it is over time, and they have to upfront costs, but they can be reimbursed for those costs as well. So it's a tough one, but it's doable.
So I've got a question about litigation or lawsuits with something like this. Is there any chance of that, Scott, with the way this would be set up, that he got more than I did and this and that?
There's always a chance of litigation. My guess is the more upfront you can prioritize, the less liability you might have, rather than the last role, rather than like this, something like that. That's an area that I haven't had a lot of experience in. I can look into that much more in depth for you if you'd like.
Still a legislative decision.
It is. Essentially, the importance of coming up with your priorities now before any of the developers start to come in.
But it's still
legislative decision,
and that's hard to balance.
It's still somewhat a moving target.
It will be every day.
Well, it could be amended too. It doesn't mean just because if you came up with, for instance, if next week you came up with your priority list, it doesn't mean that within a year or any period of time that you couldn't come in and amend that. But you do have to be careful because once somebody starts doing something, there's potential public financing on the tail end of that that's already been accounted for. We've already taken a piece of that pie out, so you can't justify too much. But there is some flexibility. Fun, huh?
Yes. Any other?
Oh, it continues. She's not done.
Well, and I mean, we could talk forever about this, but we wanted to just give a general overview of where the projects that we've understood that the county has an interest in, where they're from, looking at the costs associated with them, and at this point we are excited to see how the county council would like to move forward with creating their formal prioritization list. For that, we'd be happy to provide additional information in terms of getting into some of the numbers, but just wanted to give that high-level overview of what's coming down the pipeline based on the development assumptions that have been given to us so far.
Great presentation. Thank you very much. Been down in the U.S. somewhere, and it'd be nice to take a look and see how it's handled there. It's a great program. I just wanted to know if there were any negatives to this.
So certainly the use of tax increment for economic development occurs all the time. So when I was talking about has this been done in regards to the military involvement, it may have been done elsewhere in the U.S., but I'm not aware of
of that. So I'd have to do some research. I could do that with MIDA's help. I'm sure we could find that out. But, Falcon Hill's a little bit different, but it's the difference with Falcon Hill. So Falcon Hill, for those of you that don't know, is MIDA is developing with SDRP. I can't remember the acronym. It's Hunt Developers and Woodware 50/50 owners in this SDRP, and the difference, which makes your job is going to be very challenging because you have more than one developer. The nice thing they have is SDRP owns all of that property. So they only have one developer to deal with. So the property, as you're driving from Salt Lake to Ogden, you drive past Hill Air Force Base, from about the south gate to where you're past Hill almost, it covers I think 3 counties are touched in there, multiple cities. Through that area, there's a bunch of property that some of it's inside the fence at the base and some of it's outside the fence at the base. And SDRP has a 50-year lease to develop that property. And so they're building office buildings, there's some retail stuff. And tax increment is generated off of that, and they actually have financed against that. We financed 1 floor of a building that MIDA owns. We've done some stuff for the public safety issues at Hill Air Force Base, just a couple of small financings. But the difference there, so it's similar in that there's tax increment generated and we're utilizing that tax increment to help further the development, but it's much simpler than what you'll be dealing with because they have one development group that owns all of the property and has all the right to develop that property. So that development group can sit down with MIDA around a table and sing kumbaya on what they want reimbursement for, as opposed to you have multiple developers that may or may not sing kumbaya on what the priority of these projects are. So, for the benefit of your constituency, yes, tax increment is utilized all the time for economic development in Utah. I can give you project after project after project that we have worked on. But generally, not always, but generally, there is sort of one driving need inside a project area. So one example would be in South Jordan at the end of last year, the beginning of this year, we used tax increment to finance a stacked parking structure. So if you look at that project area, there are multiple property owners that have gone vertical in that project area that are all generating tax increment. But sort of, the city had always stated from day one, what we need here to facilitate the development we want by the transit-oriented development, by the front-runner line, we need staffed parking. We have this big, property that UTA owns. It's not generating any revenue for us, and people need to come here and park so they can ride front-runner. We need staffed parking. So they built staffed parking that's closer to 2 of the office buildings. But everyone's tax increment, whether they're next to that project or not, everyone's tax increment is being used to finance that stacked parking. So, it's not always that a specific developer is benefited, directly in an equal way to, an improvement, and their tax increment is still used. That is for that, as I said, it's a legislative body to make that determination of what is for the best public benefit, for the local government's benefit.
Each of those parties, tax increment gives a party to those discussions.
Each of those parties knew that they were in a project area that was generating tax increment, and for all I know, Party A went and said, we want tax increment to build a sidewalk, and the city said, too bad. I mean, I don't know that didn't occur, but they knew that tax increment was going to go somewhere. They're going to pay their property taxes sort of regardless of how it's used. But, one could argue, oh, well, the buildings that are closest to that stacked parking would benefit more, but it really does help the project area as a whole. And that's for the legislative body to decide.
What's the most similar project like this in the country that we could experience here?
I will look into that, and because I don't know the answer to that. You may even be charting new ground there. I know there are other areas where there have been negotiations between the armed services and development of private property. The instances that come to mind, there mostly have been development for residential housing. But I know the people to call and find out, and we'll certainly, that's a very good question. I'm happy to explore that for you. But you may be the charters of new ground. Yes.
You may. The legislature created the money.
No, they did. In the code section, I don't remember which one, but in book 5, I know, 45, she knows. They refer to it as the Military Installation Development Authority, and then obviously we've given it an acronym because that's a mouthful every time I say that.
Any other questions?
Can I add some comments? The list is here. I guess we have to take some blame for that, because Doug and I and Teresa and Laura, and we, along with some of the developers, have come up with the list. Okay. And I just want to let you know the thought process of why we put these on the list.
Is your maximum the 70%?
Well, let me get to that. So, the idea of tax increment, if there were no tax increment, then the county would simply collect taxes. Okay, and distribute the taxes or use the taxes or whatever they want to do. But the thought is, that could take 100 years for this to develop into something that produces taxes. Right now it's on greenbelt, so essentially produces no taxes. And so, as you look at the property, then, and the council weighed that decision when we signed the agreement with MIDA, was do we want to look at the potential, the council at the time, do we want to weigh the potential of utilizing an increment to promote development versus just waiting it out, taking it off. And so, in making that decision then, it said, well, if we do the increment, it essentially has to be for the public's benefit somehow. Now, not just the citizens of the county, but certainly thinking of the citizens of the county, what will benefit the citizens of the county. And so, we thought, well, if we generate more sales tax, if we generate more room tax, if we generate more general property tax, those can funnel benefit to the county. Those dollars can be used for recreational facilities or whatever we come up with that is appropriate to do. And so in looking at the list, we knew that one of our top priorities was to, in essence, work with Deer Valley to use that for the branding to promote Deer Valley and bring all the people we think we can get there to that place. And to do that, it takes skills. And somebody has to build it. And so to incentivize developers to build it, we thought that's probably one of the top priorities. Because without the ski lifts there, people aren't probably going to come as much. You won't be able to build everything anybody wants to build. If there's not a ski resort there, Deer Valley, specifically Deer Valley's not there, it's not going to happen. So that became a pretty high priority. All the numbers generated in that essentially came from Deer Valley, from their studies, the snowmaking equipment, the piping, the storage, the chillers, the runs, the lifts themselves. That's just a big number that they essentially worked through on the Deer Valley ski expansion plan, which you've seen, and that's where those numbers came from. Then, as we thought, well, if all this ski resorts expanded, if we want to benefit the public, more than just the people who would come and stay at the hotel or the home or whatever that's right there, we got to park them. Because you don't get to ski resort without parking. The way we work. We all drive cars now, or even if we have buses or whatever, there's got to be a way to park. So we included parking on the list. So then to incentivize the developer to build that parking, we put it on the list so that they get then reimbursed for the parking. portal on the south and the portal on the north, we can facilitate both the east and west side and emergency services to service those properties. So we bring that as a public benefit as well. Now, there will be, of course, quite a bit of benefit to developers as well, because they get their access, they have more direct access to some of the properties. Near Cove, they have more direct access to ski lifts. Then Mayflower exit. One of the things that you're going to see in another week, are we doing it next week? Okay. Either next week or one of the meetings in July, we'll have our traffic engineer, and he's going to show you what's being projected to build there, what happens to that interchange and the intersections and the roads that come in. You'll see that they fail very quickly. And so, from a public standpoint, we thought, well, that probably fits on the list because it serves the public in general. Does it serve the developer? Yes, but we need to incentivize some of this to happen. And we wouldn't necessarily be responsible for the interchange itself, but the roads that are right next to the interchange, we would be responsible for. The interchange is a UDOT interchange, and they're going to take care of that. But the intersections that are immediately adjacent, we have to take care of. Stormwater, that may or may not happen. Some of the developers may say, oh, we'll do on-site, and we'll keep it there, and we just don't use it. And that would be negotiated and developed. Flow course is a public amenity that the developer can build that would facilitate theirs, to make it a Four Seasons, more of a Four Seasons type situation and scheme, but it would also be public. And once again, you'd be parking for it, wobbling and slow there. We also realize that there's a big difference between the west side and the east side. That the scheme emphasis is much heavier on the west side, but we also have the Jordan Parkway, which the county really needs, connect the county, provide emergency services, distribute traffic, and so that became high on the list. And the portal on the north, which mostly benefits the properties on the northeast portion. And again, parking, which can help both sides, and again, stormwater. This does not mean this is all that we can do. But by doing it this way, you will see that even these things we pick, we're not projecting enough money to cover even these. So if we start adding more things to the list, we just give it a bigger deficit. And so if for some reason, if we're wrong in our projections and we get more than 50%, we can walk on the list. We can add things to the list. And we can bring other projects online. I think it's going to be difficult to cut projects off once we start down that road, because if, for instance, the ski lifts, if the developer says, I will do that, and based upon, they get their approvals, and based upon those approvals, and starting to build those things, they can qualify for bond routes, we might. Then that money's locked in to pay those bonds for the duration of the bonds. We can't modify that. So there are some things that we have to be very careful with when we start to cut bonds. But I'm just trying to emphasize the importance of probably looking at what projects we deem most public, most beneficial to the public,